Welcome to the Startup Story Podcast, where we interview entrepreneurs about their company. We want to give our listeners answers about the questions: how do I create my own startup? How do product ideas emerge? What tips can a CEO give you about his business? We tell you all about it. Join us on our talk.
BotTalk podcast.
Today we're joined with Ryan Grost, exciting company because it has to do with something that I'm very passionate about, synthetic media. And yeah, Ryan, tell us all about it.
So I founded Infinite Album, and we use AI to generate music for gaming scenarios. And so our first product is for Twitch streamers, where they can actually run our music engine on their device, and it will react to the game events that are happening in the game that they're playing and streaming to their audience. And then additionally, we've integrated directly with Twitch, so their viewers can actually engage with the music of the stream that they're watching and change things like, changing the emotion of the music or adding cowbell. And we're coming out with text to singing pretty soon as well, so you can actually type a chat message and have it sung on your favorite streamer's stream as you're watching it.
Tell us something about you, about your background that helped you to come up with this idea.
Sure, yeah. I've been doing music, AI-driven music apps for over a decade now, and been working in the space. At first, we worked on like an assisted composition music app where people could sing and get auto-tuned and create their own tracks and mix them down and share them with people. That was an app called Zaya, and then we turned it into song battles where people were sort of competing to create songs. And then we pivoted entirely to create an app that sings your text messages automatically, called Ditty, and that actually was a lot more successful. We had like 8 million users. I got to run the R&D for that whole process, so setting lyrics to melodies was sort of my expertise. That's also what I did my master's on, is sort of melodic analysis using machine learning. So I've been in this space for quite some time, and I wanted to take on the challenge of fully generating music from scratch. And at the time, there were not really any people doing it other than two come to mind. Amper and Juke Deck came out sort of a similar timeline, and they were generating music mostly for videos, for backing tracks for videos, back in like 2015, 2016. And when looking at the use cases of AI and the advantages that AI affords you, they were really leveraging sort of the scale of it and the cheapness of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to leverage something. I saw an opportunity basically to leverage something else, which is really the real-time, like the speed at which AI algorithms can make decisions. And so we've built this engine from the ground up to be a real-time engine that reacts to things automatically. And we also, one of the other unique things that we did is we use emotion as a parameter. So at any point, the music can change from angry to sad to excited to tired to happy, and the music will adapt immediately, pretty much faster than any other music system. I really saw, I saw the opportunity there to leverage that specific thing, and I was seeing in the game composition industry, people were actually developing these systems sort of by hand. So each game developer would build their own system of loops and musical loops and dynamic music. And so there really was sort of a practice of creating these systems. And so I saw an opportunity there to sort of leverage AI to replace or to accommodate that practice that had developed.
But in terms of where you position yourself, I found it very interesting on your website. When you go there, you have like everything there, like not only what you're doing, but for whom are you doing it. And it's very rare in the startup industry. It is all about we can do this one thing, and then we'll figure out later who will use it. With you, it's like very, very focused on this is all about Twitch, this is all about game streamers, And yeah, so how is this connection made? Is it something that went, after you created an engine and then you realize, okay, it's real time, and then where to use? How do you come about to like a user story?
Yeah, well, first of all, that's great to hear because that's exactly what VCs always tell you that they want, is to
Mm-hmm.
see a focus on a specific market. Um, so it's great that we come across that way. Yeah, it was through a lot of pain, I would say, that we discovered this space. So we originally built this as a game development plugin so
Yeah.
that people could just add it to their game in Unity, and it would be fully shipped with every game
Mm-hmm.
unit that's shipped. Our little AI composer would be in there composing music for each gamer in a unique way. And what we found is that it was a bit of a tough sell for the game developer because they already have a sort of standard practice for adding music. They had their own workflow. Sometimes they had composers that they worked with that they liked. Sometimes with independent gamers that could just be their friend who's a
Yeah.
DJ. So changing sort of the habits of the
Mm-hmm.
industry was very hard. And then additionally, getting to the level of quality that's expected for paid services is challenging. And then additionally, just getting game developers to pay for anything is
Yeah.
pretty challenging in general because they do it themselves, or they have, plugins that they buy for $20 one-time
Yeah.
fee, and then they use it and they move on. So it's a pretty challenging market to build a business and build a revenue model off of. And so what I realized at some point is that if you could access the actual consumers, then the market explodes in terms of its size. So if you access the actual gamer instead of the game developer,
Yeah.
then obviously the market is, significantly larger. And at the same time, we sort of discovered this platform called Overwolf that allows us to get real-time game information out of games,
Mm-hmm.
out of like the most popular games, so you can actually know what's going on in Fortnite and League of
Yeah.
Legends in a real-time way. And so that we actually launched, through their platform, and that's what gives us the interactivity with the games. So we don't have to integrate directly into Fortnite in order to know, what weapon they're holding
Yeah.
or what map they're playing or whether they just died. So we now create these mappings that map those events to our musical changes. So
Mm-hmm.
when you die, the music gets sad. When you kill someone, it gets happy. Those kinds
Yeah.
of mappings. Um, so that was also something that changed and really enabled that space. And then the last thing that I would say was the big difference between game development and Twitch is that we weren't really leveraging the copyright safe
Yeah.
aspect of AI generated music. Copyright is a whole topic for synthetic media that has totally not been figured out at the moment.
Yeah. Tell me about.
Um, yeah, so we're sort of, I mean, we've been very strict about using non-copyrighted material in our training data, and so we are ensuring that everything we generate is copyright free or copyright safe, at least
Yeah.
at a very minimum. And so that is a huge asset when you start talking about live streaming, because they have the same rules with music that YouTube does in terms of
Mm-hmm.
flagging copyrighted music if you use it in a video. And that's specifically because they're actually broadcasting their gameplay as opposed to just playing at a personal level. So we weren't really leveraging that at all. That big characteristic, big advantage that we had
Yeah.
of using AI compared with traditional music, with human made music. And so yeah, it really was just sort of a lot of trial and error, a lot of error, I would
Yeah.
I would say. Um, and then just discovering, getting to know the market better and getting to know your product better,
Yeah.
and just sort of connecting the dots after working on it for a while.
Yeah.
So,
I just came back from Slush from Helsinki, so this is a huge event for
mhm.
startups, and I especially love the keynote from the head of Twitch, director of Twitch, whatever, and his take on the whole creator economy thing. And well, his take is basically in maybe 5 to 10 years, we are not going to talk about creator economy the same way that we are not talking about internet economy. We're just talking about economy. And so he's like very big on like our Twitch goal is to help people make money on their platform, help creators create this great content. And what I love about your approach is that you came from creator space, so from the game developer, maybe indie developer. You just scaled the creator space somewhere different, somewhere in a completely different place. So one would say that game developer is a creator, but the game streamer is also a creator of a content. It's just a different type of creation. So I really love this aspect. And what is the business model? Who is paying whom for what? What is your kind of thing?
Yeah. So we have a couple of different revenue streams. Currently, we're in beta, so it's all private, and we're not charging for our beta, obviously. But on Twitch, because of the copyright problem, there's already copyright music services that are sort of a monthly subscription to the streamer. So we're going to adopt that as our model as well. So we'll charge the streamer for using our music in their streams and not having any risk of copyright strikes. But then additionally, we've actually integrated directly with Twitch. So we have their app ecosystem. The apps are called extensions. And so when you're a viewer, the way that you engage with the stream and make those musical changes is just a panel on the channel as you're watching the stream, and you have all these music interactions that you can essentially pay for. So the streamer can say, okay, I want to enable, anybody to change the emotion for 30 seconds, and I want to charge them, $1 for those on my stream. And so those in-stream transactions are also sort of a new revenue stream for both us and the streamer. So we get 20% of those transactions that come through. And this way of engaging on Twitch is really, really common. And one of the most popular Twitch extensions out there is sound alerts. So engaging through just triggering sound effects as a viewer on a stream is one of the most popular ways to engage with your streamer, with your stream and the streamer that you're watching. So we think there's a ton of power in this. We went to TwitchCon in both Amsterdam and San Diego, which is Twitch's main event, their conference. And we had a booth, and everybody was absolutely excited about what we're doing. So it was a really, really good feedback. Everybody hates the fact that they're constantly at risk of getting copyright strikes. There's not really a good solution out there, and I think we found the spot where people really appreciate what we're doing. And one additional thing that's amazing about Twitch streamers is they're really tech savvy. So they really know how to they've got like 20 programs running at the same time while they're playing a game and talking and reading chat and doing all these things. So they're actually some of the best early adopters you could ask for, because they really dig in and try to figure things out. They're a little more patient if something's not working right away, as long as they know that something is going to be fixed. They're really quite patient and really very welcoming in general. So
that sounds like you have like two ideas about where your revenues could come from. So basically streamer itself and the audience of the streamer, and I guess the future will tell which one is more lucrative. I guess absolutely. You can go in both directions. And I guess from a streamer perspective, it will make more sense if the users love this, end users love this feature so much that you could maybe make this service license free for the streamer, and then it's just a way of making money. Then everyone loves additional.
And one other revenue stream we're working on is creating premium content. So creating artist sound packs that enable people to sort of engage not only with their favorite streamers, but also with their favorite artists. So you could have eventually my dream would be to have like a Nine Inch Nails sound pack that everybody can pay $10 and generate an infinite amount of Nine Inch Nails style music. So yeah, we're starting to work with artists to create these premium sound packs that people can
Hmm.
download, which also, maybe we get to the point where those are popular enough as well that we don't
Yeah.
have to charge the streamer anymore because we have
Yeah,
so many
yeah,
people
yeah.
buying.
Yeah, I could totally see that. You becoming, if you go like the third round, you becoming kind of a platform for the
Mhm.
artists that then license the music to the streamers, and yeah, perfect. So many opportunities. And so you currently in beta. How does it work? How do you currently said that you went to a couple of conventions, and how many users do you have?
I think in total we have about 500.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we've got a bunch of users. We have a channel where people can post, hey, I'm going to start streaming, and we get a few of those every day,
Yeah.
where people are streaming with our app running. Um, so yeah, in general, it's been very positive. TwitchCon San Diego was the best for us. We got,
Yeah.
at least 300 users, I think, from that one weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we were on the ground. We had two laptops set up with demos going. People could actually create their own song and send it to themselves,
Yeah.
and we created sort of like a little SoundCloud style landing page. um, yeah, so it was really, really beneficial for us. We also have a couple of moderators for our Discord that are volunteer moderators who are just
Mm-hmm.
extremely excited about what we're doing, and also streaming with our app running all the time. So yeah, the beta's really healthy right now.
And how big is the team and where you guys are based?
We're 100% remote, so we're based all over the place.
Okay.
I have a co-founder and CEO. Her name's Karen Allen. She's based out of Los Angeles, and she wrote a book called Twitch for Musicians. So she's
Mm-hmm.
been sort of pushing live streaming as an opportunity for musicians for the last 5 to 7 years.
Great.
And she even manages big live streams for musical artists and labels. And so she's based in Los Angeles. So we have a actually 9-hour gap between the founders, which is challenging to manage sometimes. Just basically means a lot of later
Mm-hmm.
nights for me. I'm based in Berlin,
Okay.
and then our team is based mostly around Europe. So we have
Mm-hmm.
people mostly, it's pretty much entirely developers, but I've
Yeah.
hired kind of like machine learning, music theory, sound engineering experts.
Mm-hmm.
So Ireland is one place.
Mm-hmm.
One guy's in Ireland. We have someone in Italy, Budapest, Ukraine, and Boston. So
Wow. Okay.
kind of all over
First,
the place.
remote first company. Perfect.
Yeah,
And in terms of financing, how are you financed? Is it bootstrapped? Is it something like angel capital? What is the structure there?
yeah. We've done sort of like a pre-seed
Mm-hmm.
venture capital round, and we're raising our seed right now. So we're constantly raising money at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're raising our seed. We're looking for investments. So anybody who's listening,
Yeah.
please reach out if you're into synthetic media and gaming. Um, yeah, so that's been going pretty well, enough to get this team of 6, 7 people off the ground.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're really now at the stage where we've built enough momentum and have like a really solid team, a really solid development process. So we're constantly coming out with new stuff.
So, in terms of like a roadmap for the next year, so you guys want to go out of beta, and what is your kind of vision for the next year?
Yeah, definitely. We want to make sure that our Twitch product is great.
Mm-hmm.
So we're developing additional features. We're coming out with integrations into other Twitch services and apps.
Yeah.
So adding more to that ecosystem. So for example, we're talking to a company called Mix It Up, and they basically are sort of like Zapier for Twitch,
Mm-hmm.
where you can connect any different service and create triggers that
Mm-hmm.
change things. So that, for example, working with um, working with additional artists, we're trying to get at least a couple of sound packs off the ground
Mm-hmm.
when we launch publicly. So we're probably going to launch publicly in February or March, and that'll
Mm-hmm.
be our, when we start charging our subscription service. And Yeah, and then additionally, we're working on text to singing so that people
Hmm.
can actually type a chat message and sing it,
Yeah.
have that message sung on the stream that they're watching. We're coming out with adding instruments, so adding more cowbell is going to be our first our first instrument. Um, and yeah, and then additionally, we're exploring embedding our service back into games. So sort of the original, a bit of
Hmm.
the original vision, but a lot more fleshed out. So it's more about gamers being able to create their own music and customize music and bring that sort of listening profile to all the games that they're playing.
Yeah.
So they can have sort of like almost like their own version of Spotify, where they've actually, had a hand in customizing that music and selecting that music, and they know what, not only that, but that they'll know what gaming scenarios
Yeah.
each of those songs are appropriate for. Um, so that's something that we're very passionate about, is sort of like letting gamers create the music for their own games.
Hmm.
So we're talking to some gaming platforms and some metaverse platforms about
Yeah.
embedding the engine back in. And for us, something like music wearables is something that we sort of want to pioneer, where you could actually associate a song, like a musical vibe, which is what we call them,
Yeah.
to like a specific item that you're wearing
Hmm.
as a gamer. Um, so those are the spaces that we're exploring and expanding
That is
into.
very exciting. That is actually, definitely very exciting, and I could imagine so many possibilities. But I still hear that you are exploring. What are your and what I hear out that you still want to go to like a B2C kind of a space. Back to gamers, not the
Yeah,
maybe not the streamers, but at the same time gamers. Maybe it's even a smarter move because first you go to gamers and they become streamers, and so this is the
yeah,
vicious cycle that is also and this is actually what differentiates then the streamer, those streamers from each other. So
yeah,
if
exactly.
I'm a gamer, but I have like this special like a sound, almost like a sound logo, sound
Yeah,
identity
a brand.
that I can bring from one game to another. Then people can say, yeah, we love to not only see you play, but you will love the whole ambience of when you are playing. This is very cool, and if you the wearables is also very great, because they are keen on this kind of fetishization of stuff which is around them, right? Is it a
Yeah,
chair? Is it like what I'm wearing? It's a great stuff. Love it very
yeah,
much.
absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
and one thing that would be interesting for game developers too is like, because we're coming from Twitch. Twitch is basically like a big advertising platform for
Mm.
games, because
Yeah,
game developers will pay streamers if they're big enough to play a particular game in order to
yeah,
advertise for that. So if a game developer wants to integrate our service, then they actually can know that all of the streaming that happens with the music is also not going to be copyright striked by the
yeah,
streamers. So it's
yeah,
actually like a streaming safe music solution for game developers, to encourage streamers to use their game as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
a bit of an advantage there for game developers once we start working with them.
You said that one of your like pillars of your focus are the music creators, right? So the artists. And
Mm-hmm.
how do you manage like maybe, or I'll come from maybe a slightly different angle. How do the artists like embrace the artificial or synthetic media?
Yeah.
So what is your experience so far?
Uh, I think people are curious about it.
Hmm.
I've been in the industry long enough to see them be hateful. Not everyone, obviously, but there's definitely like, 20 to 40% of the population, which is declining, that sort of has a knee-jerk reaction against AI doing any sort of creative enterprise. I think now that um, image generation companies like Midjourney and Dolly have come out, and Stable Diffusion, those technologies that have come out have really sort of evangelized AI creation in a little bit, because people are just sort of wowed by what is possible, and they actually see the creative opportunities from the human perspective of humans using those tools. Um, so yeah, I think in general, artists are curious and skeptical about AI. And what we really focus on is we're not trying to necessarily just recreate your library inside of a video game. We're trying to collaborate with you to create something new that
Yeah.
still has your characteristic sound, but is something that you've sort of newly created. It's not just a replica of your past work.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the direction that we're really focused on, and I think artists really appreciate that. I think also because of this whole copyright ambiguity thing, um, I think it's just an additional revenue stream that they have no access to
Yeah.
in most cases. Because of the copyright problem, they can't control whether or not their song will get a copyright strike, because they're not in control of the publishing of it very
Yeah.
often. So it basically gets thrown into this giant machine that's sort of churning through copyright and like highlighting songs that are infringing on copyright. So to have an opportunity to get into a place where their music will be safely consumed in that way, is actually a big opportunity. And the fact that we can monetize it is pretty unique. So
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
these premium sound packs, they really they see the business opportunity of it, I think,
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
excited about that aspect of it.
Yeah, I really love. I think it is a bit same with us. So when we like synthesize like a voice acting talent and so on and so forth, I
Mm-hmm.
think the great fear comes initially when they think, "Wow, okay, I'm going to be out of the business." But then when they realize, no, well, you will still be. It's no way that we're gonna steal like your theatrical gigs. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
But instead, you get the completely different revenue stream, and now your voice is working and earning money while you're sleeping. You don't have to maybe take 100% of the gigs that you used to. It's maybe much more lucrative to kind of synthesize what you have and then just receive royalties for what you. And I think when people realize that the things that where or the use cases where the artificial or synthetic media are used completely different than from the use cases they are maybe thinking about. And
Yeah, and they can access a
yeah,
completely different audience too, potentially.
exactly. Like who would then go to Twitch and compose for Twitch only? I mean, no one would do that, or not at the scale that you guys are offering.
People, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very impressive. I must say, like it does open up so much questions. You mentioned that you are based in Berlin. Is there a reason why you do you like Germany? I mean, I think we as a German company, we need to spend like 5 minutes on how do you like the German startup scene so far?
I think it's very good in general. I think there's a fair amount of support,
Mhm.
with a caveat of saying that there's also a fair amount of paperwork if you want that support. So, and the hurdle for as a sort of foreigner coming to Germany is that most of that paperwork also has to be translated into German
Yeah.
in order to qualify for any sort of government funding. So that is a big hurdle as a foreigner trying to start a
Mhm.
company. Um, I think when I got here, or at least maybe a little bit before I got here, I moved to Berlin in like 2017 or something.
Mhm.
And we actually explicitly chose Berlin as a spot to put our startup, because we did like an analysis of like big European hubs for
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. And so we evaluated, how much venture capital money is here, what's the cost of living, what's the access to talent, is both musical and
Mhm.
engineering talent. And Berlin actually is a really fantastic city for music tech. It's
Hmm.
like a historical city, I would say, because of Native Instruments
Yeah.
specifically, who's headquartered here. Um, Ableton Live as well. So just those two sort of successful companies
Yeah.
give it really a strong music tech background. And then also it's just such a musical, like electronic music has been so big here culturally as
Yeah.
well. You get a lot of people that um, you get a ton of people that are sort of coming in and out of Berlin all the time. So in terms of recruiting, actually, it's a
Hmm.
really fantastic place because most people are willing to live in Berlin for, a couple of years just
Yeah.
to explore it. Getting them to stay might be a little more challenging,
Yeah.
especially with the cost of living now.
Yeah.
So yeah, originally when we did this analysis, the cost of living, we were sort of comparing it mainly to London.
Yeah.
Um, and the cost of living was clearly better in Berlin,
Hmm.
but nowadays it's probably not that different anymore,
Yeah.
with the rent prices going up and
Hmm.
whatnot. So yeah, but we found it fantastic for recruiting people. Also, you're sort of just centrally located in, Europe, Eastern Europe. So you have all the time zones to work with. So if you're 100% remote, it actually is, you have an amazing ability to keep your costs down and leverage talent from a pretty wide range of areas. So that's been really useful as well.
Yeah. Love it. Ryan, thank you very much for such a deep dive into space of synthetic music, and I had a pleasure, really going down the rabbit hole with you. And
Yeah,
yeah,
likewise.